Streaming cyberspace into your place from Martinsville Speedway, YesterYear Racing, where past meets present, introduces 1966 to the now with the running of the YesterYear Classic. It's round 13 of 16 on the YesterYear Tour Modified Series Season 2 schedule, and bringing you the live as it happens green to checkered coverage is your favorite choice for sim race broadcasting, the Virtual Drift Network. Hey, a warm Virginia hello and welcome on this Tuesday night, October 21st, 2025. The institution, a.k.a. Short Track Baltimore, J.R. Shepherd, joins yours truly, Bill Soups, on hype in the VGN press box to bring you our Word's Eye View. Replay Ryan Seneker, turn the knobs and push in the sliders. Tonight, and two more races before YesterYear crowns its second ever Tour Modified champion. Last season's champ, Brian Bianchi, well, he returned this season to defend his title. His 3 seasons wins has not been enough to overcome a pair of missed races, leaving Bianchi both outside the top 10 in points and outside the championship conversation. Thomas Gogo Ogle sits atop the points, helped by 4 wins. But consistency of late has been Gogo's Achilles heel, with 3 of his last 6 results falling outside the top 10. Though time is running short, and the odds are long for Ogle letting this championship slip through his fingers, if it is a case of Butterfingers, Brian Johnson is there in second, just 25 markers out to capitalize on any miscues. You know, the fortune cookie starring Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau topped the box office this time in 1966, and 96 Tears by Question Mark and the Mysterians was Billboard's #1. Who will be #1 tonight? To find out, pull the lever on the Lazy Boy and settle in for the excitement. That is 150 laps of simulated short track nostalgia racing action right here, about to stream your way. J.R. Shepherd, the 2 longest races this season were 300 laps at Nashville and 300 laps in South Boston. Jeff Ogle won both of those. Now, this race was originally scheduled for 250 laps. Tonight, it's been reduced to 150. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely been shortened, which is going to make it a different race than those first 2 that you mentioned. But so Martinsville, this is an iconic track, placed just over a half-mile in length, tight radius, low bank corners, and these modifieds were made for boring just like this. But tonight, I think it's going to be about balancing aggression with finesse. I feel like you have to have both here to be successful. You have to be able to charge the entry of that corner here without overdriving it, because you absolutely must let the car roll through the center of the corner. That's how you find the best grip, right around that inside curve, which we'll be talking about throughout the night. So if you don't focus on corner exit here by rolling through that corner, you will be waiting to get back to that throttle, and in return, you will be opening the door for the driver behind you to make a move down these long straights. You cannot let that happen if you want a chance to win here at Martinsville tonight.
And of course, VGN always goes the extra mile for immersion. So that's staticky here. We're doing that intentionally to give you a little feel of what broadcasting was like back in 1966, where static was really the name of the game. Hey, let's take a quick look at the points. You know, league organizers can enlist the help of OpenAI to make predictions on each race's outcome. You know, it's known as Hubble. Here's what she thinks of the chances for the drivers in the top 10. Thomas Gogo Ogle, well, he's predicted to get it the win here tonight. For whatever reason, Brian Johnson was snubbed by AI. Because of his ability to stay clean and finish well, Hubble sees Papa Kenny Allen coming home in 5th. Nobody in the top 10 has collected more incident points than Todd Liston. That does not please Hubble. But she does love Tim Horton donuts, and perhaps she's biased for things north of the border, which might explain why she's picking Canadian Scott Negus to podium tonight. It's Rodney Dangerfield times 5 with Double Deuce Bruce Pearson, Alan Wanamaker, Jerry Isaacs, Brian Neff, and Randy Schuler getting no respect from AI. And there you have it. I hope you're going to have a good time here tonight. Glad you were with us. Only 150 laps here at the familiar confines of Martinsville. 1966 rules, so they can pit as often as they want. They have as many tires as they want. And because it's 1966, if you're going on a picnic, go ahead and litter. All right, let's go ahead and give you the grid. Qualifying is done. Starting on the pole, It's Jerry Isaacs, and he's going to be flanked by James Lowell.
Yeah, inside row 2, points leader Tom Ogle. On the outside, that 9-car, Alan Wanamaker.
Eric Esseray and Brian Neff fill up the next row.
Rolling off 7th, we got Ken Allen. Outside in 8th, Gavin Adams.
9th and 10th is the Lipper, Chris Hazlip. He's going to be flanked by Robert Giersko.
Yeah, rolling off inside row 6, we got Torrance Childs. On the outside, Chris Davis.
Todd Liston will be starting in the Baker's of the spot. Thomas Hilbert outside of him.
Rolling off in 15th place, we got Scott Negus in the 29 car. Outside in 16th place, that 27, Brian Johnson.
We encourage you to play the VGN consumption game. Every time Soup mispronounces one of the drivers' names, go ahead, take a swig. VGN encourages you to drink responsibly. VGN cares. All right, the parade lap is done. Now they get down to the pace lap. James Lowe, not really up in the points, but very competitive whenever he races. Starting on the outside of row 1. What's the preferred racing line here, JR?
It's going to be interesting. I mean, down on the bottom is the preferred racing line. However, on restart, you can make that outside through turns 1 and 2 work. So, really got to get it done through 1 and 2. By the time you get to 3 and 4, you can lose a lot of ground, but that's something to watch on each and every start and restart.
A sweet 16 plus 1 worth of drivers taking the grid here. This and 2 more, we crown a champion. You know what to do. They come around, they wait for the flag man. Gather up the chicken cake, covering out the cows because the horses are out of the barn, and the first stallion with the big jump, that's the outside. He's making a roll out there. That is Isaacs. He's trying to make a roll on the inside, working hard. Let me correct myself. That's Low on the outside. And now the outside line begins to fade.
Yeah, absolutely. Once you get to 3 and 4, and there's a big wreck coming out of turn 4. I see Neff around. I see Gavin Adams, and one car is up and over on the front stretch.
My goodness. Neff was at the front, then they all started to pile in from the outside. Oh, and it's the 87. Is that the number? I know that number. Is that Todd Liston? Sure enough. He's a banked catfish.
Yeah, we'll get a replay here. We see going into turn 3. May slightly be behind it. There's some kind of checkup, and I'm not sure if Neff got sideways, touched that curb. I know that curb is dangerous, so if you're hitting that curb any at all, your car's going to whip around. But I saw Neff at the beginning of that sideways, and then everybody else trying to check up and ultimately getting into the back of him here. So, no, Neff actually gets in the outside groove through turns 3 and 4. He gets above the concrete strip. Very slick out there, especially on cold tires, and you can see the checkup that was created behind him. Just really nowhere for these drivers to go.
Terrence Childs in the 5 ducked to the inside, got through, and Todd Liston says, yeah, I like that, Terrence. I'm coming after you. But it closed for Liston, and he got turned over. Okay. I'm new to the series, I got to admit, but I'm going to assume that in 1966, they didn't allow drivers to get an extra car. Am I right on that, JR? Is that your guess? Rules here, no extra cars?
Yeah, absolutely. There's no fast repairs in this series
at
all. So once you got damage, you're in trouble.
That's big boy racing. Got to figure Todd Liston was upside down. Got to hurt a little bit. He's still in the pits. Well, we didn't get far before it came out. The number 51, Jerry Isaacs, was led all the way. Take a swig, as I've been informed that it is Isaacs. I'm going to say that that's wrong. I'm going to maybe get Jerry, if we can dial him up here and explain to him that he's pronouncing his last name incorrectly. But because I'm not a troublemaker, I will fall in. I will obey. Thomas Gogo Ogle on the outside, started on the inside of row 2, picked up that position. James Lowe was stuck on the outside. Things were not going his way. He may have benefited from that caution flag because he was stuck out there and they were lining up to try to freight train him.
Yeah, absolutely. On that initial run there, definitely wanted to get down as soon as possible. The drivers, they don't have to worry about that on this restart, though. It is single file, so nose to tail. Just got to worry about getting off the line when that green flag falls.
Pace car is coming in, catching me by surprise. Single file restarts, I guess. That's fun. Here we go. Isaacs with the jump. Ogle safely in second. Look how easy a restart is when you do it single file. James Lowe in the number 7. The Ox 7 in third. Rounding out your top 5. Eric Ezra. And the 81 of Papa Kenny Allen.
You see some drivers making moves. Chris Davis made one on that restart. He's looking to move forward, and we talked about only being 150 laps. That is on the shorter side of what these drivers are accustomed to on these short tracks, so they know they've got to get moving earlier.
Let's step back and look at car number 5. This is Terrence Childs. Vultured a whole bunch of spots when there was trouble as he ducked to the inside, but right now, look at that. That's Neff, who was involved in that incident. He's still out there fighting for that position. And I'm going to take you up a spot. Let's go ahead and look at this one. This is Wanamaker under attack by, well, his nickname is Mr. Aggressive. It's Chris Davis. He backs off a little bit. Good battle going on for what would be 6th and 8th.
Yeah, we've historically seen Chris. He's able to make moves early in the races in these modifieds. He's able to just carry more speed. But sometimes in those races, it's hurt him in the long run. So we have to see if he's balancing that, like we talked about in the opening, that aggression with that finesse. Because you've got to have both to get a good long-run car here.
Going to jump you up to 4th. There's a little bit of dispute about race tactics here. Eric Ezra saying, we got a long way to go. No need to hurry. Papa Kenny Allen behind him says, let's go. The front 3 are getting away. Watch the 81. He gets a good drive off of 2. Has some momentum. He's going to duck it down in there.
Yeah, that's a lesson for everyone watching home. This is how you make passes. It starts on corner exit. You have to get a better run than that driver on corner exit. I know a lot of drivers really like to send it up the inside on entry, but that's not how to do it. What we just saw Kenny do, that's how you do it right there.
And while that was going on, Thomas Gogo Ogle, linking up to his nickname, ducked to the inside of the 51. And Isaacs now down into second. Ogle beginning to run away. Lowe realizes this. Lowe would like to get up into second, as Papa Kenny Allen now, as he's moved up into fourth. He's got places to go as well. Let's look at this battle back. This is Davis on the inside. Correction, Davis rolling the outside. The number 9 on the inside is Wanamaker. Davis gets the best of that when they're coming on Allen.
Yeah, that was a dangerous move, Soup. I mean, he was up above the concrete. We saw the wreck at the beginning of the race because of that same reason. Now, the tires got a little more temperature in them, but that very well could have spelled disaster for Chris Davis, especially on corner exit. These cars don't want to turn when you're that far up.
Interesting strategy here. They can come in, they can get tires, so some drivers may want to use them up, come in, get fresh rubber, and then use them up again. Others may stay out there, and I don't know, JR is going 150 laps. Is that something that's doable on these tires?
It is in the modified. You absolutely can do it, but you have to take care of them. So that's why we could see some pace differences, especially up front, while we're seeing some gaps opening up. Some drivers could be on that strategy where, hey, I'm not pitting tonight. I want to go the whole way, but you've got to take care of the tires, particularly those rear tires, because if you get those rear tires hot on corner exit, you're going to start to get loose and wiggle around on corner entry. So got to take care of them. But I think ideally, the drivers would like to pit some point around halfway, but they'd like to at least get right side tires tonight.
Riding on board with the Winn-Dixie 60 of Brian Neff. Based on qualifying speed and what's going on the track, I think one of the drivers, the number 37 of Eric Esseray, he might be saving the stuff. He just looks to be out there cruising, letting the front 4 run away. Make a little note, all you little soldiers in Soup's clipboard army. Esseray, number 37. It might be somebody to watch at the end of the race.
You can see up front, Soup, that top group, they kind of, expanded out, got some distances between each other. Oh, Todd Liston's down on the bottom of the track. He's trying to get out of the way. He's still got problems from that initial accident. He's doing everything he can to stay out of the way of these leaders or these lead lap cars. But up front, we saw that gap open up. Now it's closed back down a little bit. I've seen Tom Ogle get loose a few times in the center of the corner, so handling is starting to come into play here. Things are starting to change.
Bless Todd Liston's heart. He's still back out there putting in times. The car doesn't feel good. He's multiple laps down, but he's still doing it. The driver to watch is Chris Davis. He's our big mover so far. Davis was our big mover. I've lost him. Oh, there we are. Racing down in 6th position. He was in that battle with Wanamaker. He got the best of that. Now he set his sights on Ezra. Remember, Ezra, I think it's going to be a tale of two cities here between Davis, who's in a hurry to go somewhere, and Ezra, who's taking his time to go nowhere.
Yeah, that strategy of taking care of your stuff, not worrying, about the drivers ahead of you pulling away, that works fine until you get another pack of drivers catching you. And right now, that's what Eric's starting to see in his mirror. And he does not want that group to get right to his rear bumper. He needs to maintain some type of a gap. And after we've said that or started talking about that, he started to maintain that a little bit. It'd be interesting to see if he can fully do that with the way that Chris Davis is charging.
Taking your time when you're racing in 5th, probably a little easier on the ego than taking your time and letting 3 guys go by. And that's what Davis, Wanamaker, and Childs wants to do. Childs is fun. Childs has been looking to pick up spots after he made that great evasive move to the inside. And right now, getting a little bit of the wall is Wanamaker. That's going to open it up for the 5. Taking it in there, diving it in deeper than Confucius in the submarine was Childs, but now he backs off, and now he loses momentum, and now rolling the top is Neff.
Yeah, we're seeing why it is so difficult to get around this track. One of the things that is difficult from the driver's perspective is waiting to get back on that throttle. That's one of the reasons we saw Wanamaker get into the wall on the late corner exit there. It's so easy to want to get back into that throttle because you see the pressure from behind, the driver's breathing down your neck, and you get on that throttle, and all of a sudden the car pushes and pushes and pushes until you're into the wall. So it is difficult, but this is a track where you have to have some discipline, even when you got that pressure from behind.
Let's say good day, and get into maybe right in the cockpit, if we could, of Scott Negus. Negus started in 15th. He's picked up 5 spots. He's got a Canadian smorgasbord in front of him there of cars to pick up. Back there just taking his time. AI loves Negus. Picked him to finish 3rd.
Yeah, and he's looking for some redemption after the race at Pocono. He had an uncharacteristically bad race there. Just one of those times where it's just not your night. So Scott knows how to get it done in these modifieds, and he's a driver that can be aggressive when he wants to be, but early on he's going to be taking his time, and he looks like he's got plenty of speed. He looks like he's going to have no problem making his way forward as we get into this race.
Hey, I butchered his name when we were calling the grid. Let's give him a tip of the hat right now, and I'm talking about Ruben Garesco. I hope I got that one right that time. Did a good job of getting out of the way. Garesco. Have a sip, everybody.
See Scott there on the inside of Brian Neff. He was able to get that move made, and it comes down to that pressure thing. When you see a driver right behind you, you start trying to over-apply that throttle, and a couple things happen. If you apply it too early through the center of the corner, the car can jump sideways and get loose on you, or it can start to push out on late exit. And right there, we saw Neff get a little bit loose, and Scott was able to capitalize.
So we talked about Negus. He gets 1. Next on the Canadians hit list, well, that's going to be Childs, who had a bad exit out of 2, and then Wanamaker. Both Wanamaker and Childs are starting to slow down a little bit. I think Negus will be there soon. Leaving them behind was Chris Davis. Davis now is setting his sights on the guys ahead. Got a couple of lap cars to get through before he gets all the way up to the guy he's really going after.
Yeah, and we can see Todd listening. He's continuing to go around this track because he wants to turn laps. He was decently up in points, had a shot at the championship a few races ago, and things have just not fallen his way. But the thing in this series is that if you continue to make laps, you never know what's going to happen in the long run. Drivers could end up being taken out in accidents. That's why Todd's continuing to run. Just in case somebody has some misfortune, he's going to try to capitalize that and pass them late in the race.
Just coming into this series and taking an overview, looking at the stats and seeing that Todd Liston in the top 10, that's no surprising. But seeing Todd Liston with the most incident points of anybody in the top 10, that was really alarming. Clearly, things have not been going his way this season. That's not his. That's not the way he races. Front three look very competitive. I don't know who's faster. They're all just taking their time. Ogle, Isaacs, and Lowell.
Yeah, so just kind of looking at lap times up front. I mean, they're kind of going backwards and forwards right now. Ogle's got the fastest time. James Lowe is pretty well matching him lap after lap here, and Isaacs is just a little bit off. That time we actually saw Isaacs was faster, and there is a caution out on the speedway. Chris Davis is up on the pit wall.
Oh, this is not Jazz. Just getting loose in front of him was the 28. That was Garisco. Garisco went around, and then Davis, collected him.
Yeah, absolutely. Going to watch this replay, and just like you mentioned there, see Garisco on the outside of YyesterYear as we go through turns 3 and 4, and yeah, just too high on corner entry, got loose. He did a nice job of saving it and not causing a lot of carnage there, but unfortunately for Chris, he was right there as he was saving the car, so that bounced him into that inside wall, and that's ultimately going to end his night. He was one of the drivers that was kind of making it exciting early in the race, making the moves.
Well, it's pit stop time. Ogle coming in. Isaacs coming in. I believe all the guys. Allen comes in as well.
Yeah, not a big surprise, Soup. I mean, I mentioned drivers are definitely going to want to get I can't even talk tonight, Soup. Going to try to want to get right side tires here at some point. This is a little bit early, but you should have no problem going 100 laps in this race on a set of tires. So that's what these drivers are kind of banking on. If we don't get another caution, they want to get that right side tires now, as well as make sure that they've capped off any fuel that they need to make it to the end.
Would have been nice if somebody did something a little bit different just for fun. Now, iRacing is showing James Lowe as did he come out first? I guess he was first out of pit lane, huh?
Yeah, James.
Oh, there's my guy. Attaboy, James. He knows how to make the commentators happy.
Yeah, and where that may not be a great move if you're going to have double file restarts, we got single file restarts. So as long as he gets a good jump and he's able to maintain that bottom line through turns 1 and 2, he's got a good shot at it here. So we'll have to see how it plays out.
We will indeed. Looking at the pace truck, we'll see if the lights stay on. I don't know if we get to do interviews during caution flags. Is that a possibility in this series there? Let's take a quick look. It looks like the lights are off on top of the truck. So next time around, we'll go ahead and talk to some of these guys, see how they're feeling. James Lowe out there right now. Gonna race like a kidney stone. Gonna race like a $3 bill. Hard to pass.
And I will say, Soup, we have seen where drivers have gone off strategy compared to the rest of the field, and then that ends up creating some excitement or even some contact. So in this case, it's only one car that's off strategy. We'll have to see how it plays out, but in the past, it's not been a great move.
Scott Negus up 8 spots. Man sitting second in the points, up 8 spots as well as we go green. Brian Johnson. Both those guys back a little bit. Not a good corner 2 exit for Isaacs. He loses a little bit of momentum. The action is up front. Don't know how hard James Lowe actually worked the first 40 laps. He feels confident that they can hold these guys back. When I say these guys, I mean everybody. They all came in except for Lowe.
Yeah, and he's going to be okay for a handful of laps because these tire temps have come down on his car. So he does have grip level that is very similar to the drivers that just got fresh rubber on the right side. Now, after the handful of laps, that's where you'll start to see the difference. That's when you'll see Ogle and Isaacs be able to have more speed than what James Lowe is doing. But this is a tough track to pass at. If you can focus on the center of the corner and corner exit, it makes it very difficult for that driver behind.
So we ride on board. This is great. We ride on board with Ogle. Let's stay on this for a long time, these two guys, in whatever camera shot we want. This is really the story of the race here. Ogle being so quick that he were able to get around the 07. It might be good night, nurse. Look at the difference that Isaac has given. Plenty of gap back, not even putting the pressure on Ogle.
Yeah, you know, some of that could just be, you know, wanting to be cautious.
There he goes.
See Ogle, he dives on the inside there of James Lowe. They almost make some contact very close to that inside curve, but I do believe Ogle's going to be able to capitalize here, and in return, Isaacs is trying to pounce as well.
Oh, look at Isaac. I thought he was going to rue the day he left so much gap between him and Ogle, but he closed it very quickly and was able to keep Lowe to the outside, and now the 81 of Papa Kenny Allen gets through as well. Don't forget about Lowe. He'll come in, get some tires, of course. Everybody could come in and get more tires as well, as they're not really on a tire ration. They get as much rubber as they like.
Yeah, right now the 07 is just going to have to settle in. He just does not want to lose any more ground. Like you said, caution could come out later on, come in and get that fresh rubber, but he doesn't want to lose any ground because that's going to be super difficult to make up. Right now he's kind of running about where he was before that round of pit stops.
Two drivers we want to keep our eyes on. The Canadian Scott Negus and the 29, and the guy right behind him, sitting second in the points. Car number 5. It's number 27. It got to me. There it is, Brian Johnson. Terrence Childs in the 5, watching those two guys.
Yeah, definitely. Brian's wanting to have a strong run here. I mean, second place in points, he's got to make up some ground. Unfortunately for him, the driver he's chasing is leading the race right now, so he's going to have to either go off strategy if he does not have the full pace to get up there and race with Tom, or he's going to have to hope that something odd happens because Tom has been pretty dominant the last several
Let's
weeks.
check in on second. Papa Kenny Allen had enough back there. He gets to the inside of Isaacs. Now he can start to run down Ogle. Isaacs falls back a spot.
Yeah, and Ken Allen, he is third place in points. He's the next driver in line to try to race Tom for these last 3 races here for that championship. And I can promise you that Ken's going to go after it. He's going to try to put Tom in a bad position because he knows Tom is the one that's out there with the points to lose. So we'll have to see how Tom races if Ken's able to get there.
And we talked about how Ogle has had some bad finishes, bad results. Could allow those guys to make the gap up. It's still a manageable gap between first, second, and third, but they really need to have good results now. They're running out of time.
Yeah, it's down to the part of the season where it's all about risk versus reward. So if you're somebody that's got a comfortable points lead, you've got to really think about when someone's putting pressure on you, just how hard you want to race them in order to conserve those points. If you're somebody that's looking to make up points, you've got to go hard. You're not worried about anything else other than trying to get to the front, and that's what Ken Allen's trying to do here.
You can see the gap there. Allen going to try to run him down. All right, let's check back in on car number 29, Scott Negus. He's got to the back of Wanamaker. Oh, we got a caution. No? Do we have a caution?
Yeah, we got a caution on the Speedway. Hazelip is spun down in turn 4. Kind of looking at the replay here, going down the backstretch, looks like Gavin Adams just trying to get to the inside of Hazelip, and that's a characteristic of these Tour Modifieds. If you get a little too high on corner entry, especially going into turn 3, there's just no grip out there. The rear end of these cars really want to come around, especially if you just carry a little too much speed in there. And I think Chris was trying to get out of the way of Gavin behind and drove it in just a little deeper than he wanted to, and that just allowed that rear end to swap ends on him.
Okay, well, look, dash my buttons here, but what the heck is going on? Kenny Allen is coming in for a stop. Isaac comes in again. I figured Lowe would come in, but I didn't think these guys, they've only been out there for a handful of laps. I think the yellow came at lap 40. 22 laps, I guess, makes sense.
Yeah, kind of watching. I was curious if some of these drivers are going to take the left side tires, but I only saw the jack go up on the right side. So they're coming in to get fresh right side rubber once again. And like I talked about, the last time they pitted was a little bit too early. They would prefer it to be closer to halfway. And now that we're on lap 62, probably going to go green around 65 or 66. That gets us super close to that halfway mark. So I think these drivers are hoping that that's going to give them an advantage late in the race.
And only 11 cars on the lead lap. I guess when you come in from third or fourth, you're not giving up a whole bunch of real estate, a whole bunch of track position.
Yeah, you're not, but you still got to be patient. I don't think it's great to charge super hard. I think at the green flag, once it drops, you've got to get the positions you can get early, but then you got to go into conservation mode. You got to start taking care of those tires. And it's going to be a lot longer to make passes happen because you do not want to use up that rubber. Otherwise, you're going to be on the same playing field as, say, Tom Ogle, who stayed out here. And that's who you're trying to beat. So you've got to have some type of advantage.
JR, I don't mean to put you on the spot about this, about rules, but will those guys who pitted, will they have to be at the back of the line, or do they get to go around the cars that are lapped down? Do you know?
I do believe they're always around the lap down cars. I believe lap down cars are always to the back of the field because we do not have any wave rounds here. There's no lucky dogs, so lap down cars to the tail end.
All right, well that makes that pit stop a little less painful then for those guys. They'll come up to the back of all the cars that are on the lead lap. All right, the pace car is in. We did not do an interview. We will get one next time, but I tell you, we had so much action during that caution flag, we had to cover it. All right, we go racing. Tommy Ogle out in front, being stalked by the man who qualified in fifth, Eric Ezra. Wanamaker has worked his way up to third because he didn't come in for a stop. Scott Negus did the same.
Yeah, so that was big moves for them. So Eric's somebody that we speculated could be saving his tires. So this would be a time to start to show what kind of pace you've actually got. So it'll be interesting to see if he's able to keep up with Tom Ogle. We'll see some movement back here in the pack with Brian Neff making a pass.
Director, can we have my favorite pit stop graphic? I love this graphic. And what you'll see is, look at Alan. You'll see him because he took that lesson, and Isaacs, I believe, are the two drivers that came in for a stop. That's why they have that little white part there at the end of their line.
Yeah, absolutely. They're the highest running drivers that just made a pit stop. And really, that was a good move because they only lost a couple of positions. As you can see on your screen right here, they are a lot faster than those drivers ahead. Ken Allen making a move on Negus.
Trying to get to Negus, doing a good job. Yeah, I questioned it, but honestly, they were racing, I think, probably third and fourth when they came in. After the stops, they got up to fifth easily, and here's Allen looking to get up into fourth, which is just about where he was before the stop. So what do I know? Well thought out, you two.
Yeah, and ideally, these drivers would like to get a few positions and then have another caution come out because that means that their tires never really reached a temperature range that starts to abuse them. So they would be able to have good grip longer throughout this race. We've not gotten that caution yet, but either way, they've got tires that are 20 laps fresher than the leader, and that can be big, but we're going to have to see. It's all about taking care of them. You can't abuse them and not have that pace at the end.
Allen and Isaacs, the one to keep an eye on. Working lap number 72. 52 of those have been led by Tom Ogle. Jerry Isaacs was out in front for 11 laps.
And you can see on your screen all of the drivers, they have gotten single file. That's what they ultimately want because they're all fighting for the bottom of the track. Oh, and as I say that, we see Torrance Childs going around off the nose of James Lowe there. We'll have to see what or if any contact was made through turns 3 and 4. We'll get a replay here, but the caution is out on the Speedway.
Got loose right in front of Lowe.
Yep, that was just one of those situations, a little bit too high through turns 3 and 4. He was probably going to kind of save it. I think a caution would have came out anyway, but Lowell was just not able to check up there. He was already committed to the bottom of the corner at that time.
Okay, based on what I just saw from Allen and Isaacs, I would not be surprised if the leaders come in. And sure enough, here they come.
They are, and this is right at halfway. So this is like the magical number. I think all the drivers were hoping a caution would come out because, you know, halfway, 75 laps, more than doable. And you can actually abuse those tires a little bit if you only have to go 75 laps. So this gives the driver something better to work with. In return, I think those drivers that just pitted about 10 laps ago, they're in a great position because their tires are going to almost be equal to say what Tom Ogle's tires are going to be when he comes off pit road.
Indeed. Let's see if we can dial up the 81 of Papa Kenny Allen to talk to him. Kenny, it's Soup up here in the booth. I was chastising you for that last pit stop. It seemed foolish. But what do I know? You got to be happy with the way it worked out, right?
Well, I got to do something opposite of Tom if I'm going to chip away at this big lead he's got. So I'm going to have to take some gambles here.
We thought so. How's the car feeling?
I like the longer we go, the better it feels for me, especially on the empty tank. So I'm feeling a little confident here.
All right, well, Ogle's back a little bit. You got a bit of a cushion. Good luck to you.
Thanks, guys.
Not all that far back, but I think the cars between him are, a few of those guys are a lap down. Pearson's on the lead lap. Maybe not.
Yeah.
Childs, after that spin, is still on the lead lap.
He is, and Tom, I think, is going to find himself running the 7th spot when we go back green. And this is, we've seen some tense moments throughout the season in the YesterYear Racing League where, you know, the leader will kind of, you know, do something different than what everybody else is, or he'll get off schedule on pit stops. That's what we just saw with Tom Ogle coming down pit road, and then in return find himself in the middle of the pack or a little bit further back in the pack. And something weird happens. We get a weird wreck, a caution, something, and they get caught up in it. So Tom's hoping that that doesn't happen here because that could definitely ruin his points night.
Well, you got to appreciate the mindset of Kenny Allen there, thinking, if I just do what Ogle does, I'm going to finish. I may finish better, but I'll be behind Ogle. So he's trying to shake it up a little bit. All right. Here we go. Working lap number 79 of 150.
Oh, we see Bruce Pearson. He actually goes wide through turns 1 and 2. I don't know if he's just getting out of the way, knowing that it's still a long way to go. But in return, that's going to move Ogle easily up into 6th position.
Coming up behind Terrence Childs is Ogle. We'll watch what's going on in front, and we'll watch Ogle try to work his way through. Childs was having a good run. Let's see how hard the 5 makes the 13 work here. Well, I don't know how hard he was trying to make him work, but Ogle gets a good drive off of 4, and boom, just like that. One more position.
Yeah, he's easily coming through the field, and he's had the speed all night long, so he knows the line to run. He knows how hard to use those tires. To be honest with you, those 4 up ahead of him being nose to tail is going to make it easier for him to catch.
Director, can we go on board with Ogle just to see how far it is to the front 4, get his perspective? There we go. He can see him. I don't think it's going to be more than maybe 4 or 5 laps until he's behind him. We're working lap number 82 now. Let's check back in on that lap 87 and see if he's got him. First of all, JR, he was quick to begin with, and now he's on the freshest rubber.
Absolutely. And, you know, like I talked about, we're watching this group up front. They're nose to tail. I know Eric has not had the speed that some of those leaders have had today. I think he's holding this group up just a little bit. And it doesn't take much at Martinsville. He's holding them up just a little bit, and it is super hard to pass. You think if that driver's a little bit slower and you just go around them, but you can't do it. It's so hard to get the car to rotate, so hard to get that throttle applied and have an advantage coming off the corner. Kenny Allen is trying here, but he's just not able to do it. In return, that's allowing Tom Ogle to close in quickly.
What they could all agree to, if they just would agree to it, if they would just race 3 wide for the next, what would it be? the next 65 laps, they can hold Ogle off.
It's definitely an option.
Ezra, Allen, Isaacs, and then the 07 of Lowe. Oh no!
Oh.
They spin in front of him. Getting on the binders was Ogle. He was able just to make a little bit of contact.
Yeah, and the driver that's, I think, going to get the most damage is going to be one of two drivers. It's either going to be Jerry Isaacs or Torrance Childs out of that, because Torrance was just not able to get slowed down. He was up in the marbles on the high side, and I already see suspension damage on his car.
Yeah, not only did the 51 take abuse the first time, then he got hit again.
Yeah, oddly enough, that first impact for Isaacs was not going to be race ending. He was still going to have something to work with, even with that shot to the outside wall. But this one right here is going to be the one that kind of gets him, because it's right into that right front suspension. But ultimately, like I said, I see Torrance Child with that left front suspension damage there, so I think he's going to be the worst out of all of that mess.
Well, Kenny Allen said he wanted to do something different than Ogle. Well, spinning certainly was different.
Yeah, and the only thing it does, you know, it's going to force Kenny Allen to do something a little different. You see Eric Esware, he's also coming in, so these drivers are going to come in and get some fresh rubber, and as long as they don't have damage, you know, as long as that steering wheel is still pointed straight like it was at the beginning of the race, you've got a shot to come through this field. We've seen tires be a pretty big advantage, especially on corner exits, so I wouldn't count these drivers out just yet.
Of course, we try to mimic the racing of 1966. And with that said, we'd like to thank one of our sponsors here tonight, IBM Selectric Typewriters. The best thing to happen to typing since electricity. One of the other things about 1966, and this is probably more relevant than my typewriter plug, no lucky dogs. So these caution, the number of drivers on the lead lap, unlike a race now where it would continue to grow and regenerate, it just keeps getting smaller and smaller.
Oh, it's been a story all season long. Once you go a lap down, you are in trouble unless you have extreme pace and you can go up there and get your lap back under green flag conditions, and we've not seen that. So once you go a lap down, you're just hoping that there are other drivers that go a lap down, because that's the only way that you're going to make up ground in the standings.
I don't want to date myself or be the "you kids get off my lawn" guy, but I kind of like it. I don't know if I'd like it all the time. I don't know if I'd like to do every race without a lucky dog, but it certainly is refreshing. It's just a different feel. All right, in control of the field. James Lowe, he's out in front again.
Oh, no caution out, but you can see on the screen there is a spin on the front straightaway. I think that might have been Jerry Isaacs, and he has decided to tow, so he is off the race. We're staying green flag out front. You can see the big lead that the 07's got.
Oh, my goodness, how things can go south. Isaacs was racing up front, and now just a touch over halfway, he had to take a tow. Lowe and Ogle. Wanamaker probably not with the pace to race with the front two, but has done a good job of strategy to get up there. Not the case for the 29 of Negus. If he could get around Wanamaker, it would be fun to see what the Canadian could do with those guys up front. Especially if maybe get a yellow and they can get all on the same level racetrack. There goes Negus inside of Wanamaker. Wanamaker giving him room, drifts up, Negus goes through.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Scott needed, because I think he did have more pace than Allen. Be interested to see if he's got enough pace to chase down those front two, but he definitely had third place pace, and this gives him that room early on so he can go to work.
Of all the guys, 34 laps out there for Lowe. About 20 for the next 4 guys behind him. Ogle, Negus, Wanamaker, and Neff. Not sure if Wanamaker and Neff have the pace to race with the guys up front. Negus probably does. Ogle has shown to be the class of the field, not only all this race, but all season long, but he's got his work cut out for him. This is a situation we saw earlier with Lowe in front of Negus and Lowe on a little older tires. It didn't take long for, I'm sorry, in front of Ogle. It didn't take long for Ogle to get him last time. We'll see how the 13 does now.
Yeah, I just feel like with these higher horsepower Tour modifieds that the grip level goes away a lot quicker than what we would see in the SKs here. The SKs you can run on the tires forever, it seems, but definitely, oh, see Eric, I swear, getting a little bit loose coming off of turn 2. But I think that's the big difference that we're seeing in the tires tonight and why you saw Lowe have some issues with holding off Ogle during that one run was just the fact that once his old tires got up to the same tire temperature, he had less grip. The grip level completely goes away, and it becomes an issue with holding that car down on the inside and applying that throttle on corner exit. You're just not able to do it as well as the guys with fresher rubber.
Okay, JR, again, correct me if I'm not thinking right, but 14 laps is the difference between Lowe and Ogle, and maybe 4 or 5 of those have been under caution. So maybe it's 10 laps of difference racing in anger. Is it that much of a difference? Does Ogle have that much of advantage with 10-lap pressure tires?
I really don't think in that situation that Ogle's got an advantage tire-wise. I think it's going to come down to pure pace because typically it takes about 20, 25 laps before you really see a difference in the tires, especially on a Tour modified or a modified altogether. So I do believe that if we see Tom go up here and get the lead, it's going to be on pure pace. But the longer we go into that run, that 10-lap difference can make, the slightest advantage to Tom. But we're going to have to go the rest of the way on green for that to even show up, I think.
Then you think about Negus, who's racing in 3rd. Is it in his best interest to try to actually run them down? Would that, if he does that, will he have anything left for him, or maybe sit back there and wait? And then if a caution were to come, JR, if caution comes at 10 laps to go, do the leaders come in? 15 laps? When do you come in if you're a leader?
Yeah, I think when it's late and you're a leader, you stay out. I mean, that's a tough call. And what's going to happen is if you stay out, everybody else is going to pit. So you're kind of in trouble either way. But, back to the Scott Negus thing. If I'm Negus, I'm going to try to chase these leaders down because I want to put pressure on them. I don't have to try to pass them, but if I put pressure on them, that gets those two racing each other, getting a little desperate to make a move. There might be some contact and I can scurry on through. But the other thought to that is to just lay back and take care of your stuff. Maybe there's a caution with 20 or 25 to go and those leaders pit, you decide to stay out. So there's different ways of thinking, and it's hard to get the right strategy. You can just never tell how a race is going to play out. And I don't know if Ogle needs any sympathy from anybody. He's certainly having a great season, but he's in a tough situation because anything he does, people are going to do the opposite, even more so than you would a leader. I mean, whatever Ogle does, you're going to be looking to do something different. With only, what do we have, 9 cars on the lead lap. Boy, you're not that far back if you were to come in for that late stop. Yeah, absolutely not. And the good thing about it is those drivers that are up front, they've had a lot of pace over those drivers that are in, say, 6th through 9th place. So those would be easy passes for you to make right off the bat. So you're starting 9th, but you're going to be in 5th or 6th by the time you get 2 laps done. So it's a quick move to the front.
I would predict, if a caution were to come, I don't know what I'm going to say. I thought Lowe would stay out, but I guess it depends how close you are to the end. This is fun. It's all about pace, and it's all a little bit of a chess game as well.
Yeah, right now, I hate to say it because we end up, having the commentator's curse, but it does have a green flag type feel to it. We've got 38 laps left to go in this thing. And I think these drivers, they're they're going to have to be looking for that long haul. They're going to have to expect that this thing's going green, and they know what their cars are doing. At the same time, the cars are going to start to change in the handling aspect. We have started to burn fuel off. That's going to transfer weight on these cars. The car's going to get a little bit tighter on corner entry. At the same point of that is that the cars are going to have less weight to apply that throttle coming out of the corner. So the cars are going to completely change in handling. The driver that adjusts the best of that, they're going to have the advantage. When you see James Lowe up front, he's still pushing hard. He was loose coming off of turn 2 right there, and Tom Ogle's been able to close up tremendously.
I want to get away from this real quick. We'll come back to it if this gets close, and it may happen real quick. But quickly, let's give some love to Brian Johnson, sitting second in the points. He's up several positions. He's up 9 spots, having a nice, quiet run. There you go. Here he's out there racing, and he's racing with epilepsy and showing that what you can do. All right, let's go back up to the front. This is fascinating. These are 2 guys who know how to race a tour mod. A little bit different tire wear from the 2 of them. The leader a little bit older on rubber than the guy chasing him.
Yeah, and the one thing I'm seeing from watching these 2 up front is that Tom Ogle's able to be a little bit more tidy through the corners. He's able to wrap that bottom and stay right against that curb. And it's the smallest of margins that I'm seeing, but Tom's doing it better. And ultimately, that usually leads to a better handling car in the long run because you're not overheating those tires. You're letting that car roll like we talked about at the beginning of the broadcast. And you're able to get a more straight exit, which also saves that rear tire, saves the rear drive and grip up off the corners. And I think that'll start to pay dividends in about 10, 15, maybe even 20 laps. But I think we're going to have to stay green to see it.
So many stories to tell. Let's go back in and check on Negas. We thought the Canadian might be able to run down the 2 guys in front. That hasn't happened. In fact, I think he's fallen back into the clutches of Wanamaker. And how about that? Kenny Allen still out there in 5th.
Yeah, and that's the story of the season for a lot of these drivers because of the rules package is perseverance. I mean, if you have an issue, do not give up. Do not, exit and say my race is over with because you can charge back. Ken Allen's doing that. He was caught up in that accident early on. Or excuse me, not early on, but about the middle part of the race. And here he is sitting in 5th spot. And he looks like he's got enough pace to go up there and get on the podium.
Well, let's talk about a guy that JR was just talking about. A man who hasn't given up. 87 of Todd Liston. 12 laps down. Running in 12th right now. About to be 13 laps down. Does a good job of getting out of the way. Lets the 2 leaders go by. Well, John Todd, I know that's the position you're not used to being in, but used to wasting up front. But boy, you let him go by nicely.
Yeah, and it's a terrible feeling if you're Todd. I've been in races like that because you can't race. It sucks to just drive around the track with a tore-up race car, but this is what it's gotten him. He was 17th place when that happened. He's now up to 12th, so he has gained 5 spots, and that is a big move in the points.
That's just admirable. Nice way to spend your Tuesday night. Todd is from back east, so real world time, getting kind of late for him. Let's look at 3rd place now. That's Liston again, getting out of the way. This might be an opportunity maybe for Wanamaker to get to Negas. He does not. Wanamaker does not have a good exit out of 2. It's like maybe Kenny Allen might get there. That's a fun little battle for 3rd.
Yeah, I think Ken's having some fun with it. I see him making some moves, back and forth on the straightaway. And when you're a faster car, it's fun to kind of mess with the driver that's on a different tire strategy than you. Eventually you're going to pass them, but you're just trying to scare them with how your car's showing up in the rearview mirror. And I see him kind of moving around from time to time. Brings back memories. It's really fun to be in that position.
Okay, JR, help me out again. Is the tire advantage now that Lowe has on oval, is that less effective now that they are so far into it? Is it more equalizing out the longer they go?
It is starting to equalize out a little. We're getting a replay here. I saw it on the top of the screen. Alan Wanamaker almost had a spin coming off of turn 2. He was able to lock it down and get that car straight back out, so we stayed green. But yeah, back to the leaders. The longer you go, the more it will start to equalize, and that's why we've not been able to see Tom make a pass. The tires are pretty well equal, but at some point, and it takes a lot of laps, at some point, the 10-lap fresher tires will have a slight advantage. Now, I don't know if that's going to be enough for Tom to be able to make a move, but he will have a slight advantage very late in this race if we stay green.
Okay, I've done a lot of late model races where I've seen the tires, all of a sudden they go off a cliff. Is that something that, is it possible Lowe finds that cliff 10 laps earlier, or is that not how the modified tires work?
Yeah, they don't work exactly the same way, but you will start to lose lap time. So it won't be as dramatic as the late models, but you will lose lap time. And that's when that driver behind you has the opportunity. But again, it is so difficult to pass at Martinsville. I've seen situations where you can be half a second faster than that car in front of you, and you have a very difficult time. It could even take you 10, 15, 20 laps to make that pass. This is a hard place to set up a pass, so you still have to go to work and you still have to get that job done. But Tom should have a slight advantage at the end here.
JR, is there a different racing line that Lowe could take that would protect the inside better? I don't know, maybe slower off of 4 or dive it in. What do you do if you want to protect that inside?
Well, really through turns 1 and 2, or through turn 1, getting into turn 1, he'd like to arc it in a little bit because he wants to focus on corner exit. So he would like to take a little wider line, but he doesn't want to make it too wide because Tom will try to fill that gap. But you see right there through turn 1 and 2, he entered just a little bit later and he was able to get a straight exit. That makes it hard for Tom to make that move. Now through 3 and 4, it's such an odd turn. It feels like turn 4 really opens up on you. So definitely if you can slow the speed through the center of 3 and 4, that makes it difficult for Tom to get a run also. So those are two things he's going to have to pay attention to. As long as he's got a gap like he's got right there, he's got room to move around and run those lines.
Would you, I'd love to pick your brain on these things. If you're Lowe, would you sacrifice lap times, maybe not run the fastest lap you could in lieu of keeping that inside covered?
At this point in the race, I think that's got to be on your mind because at some point Tom is going to see a gap and try to go for it, especially if he feels like he's faster. So definitely you got to protect that inside line, but it's more important to focus on that corner exit, I feel like, than protecting that inside line. You've got to get the better exit out of the corner.
12 laps to go. I would imagine the front two are hoping not for a caution. Negus and Allen probably are, and I would imagine that maybe Negus and Allen would do exactly the opposite of what the leaders were to do right now. Everybody behaving. Nobody wants to be the guy that brings out the caution with just a handful of laps to go.
Yeah, not at all. And that's what we kind of see in these races also with the shorter field, but also the drivers that are left on the lead lap. Only 9 cars out there on the lead lap. Everybody kind of gets spread out enough, and we don't get any super close racing that leads to contact. This is the closest one on the track right now between Brian Johnson and Alan Wanamaker.
Johnson is having a great run. I think he's going to get Wanamaker here pretty soon. Wants to do it cleanly, and that's how he's raced this whole race, sitting second in the points right now. He's going to lose some to Ogle, but you never know. We still have a ways to go, and who knows what could happen up front.
Yeah, and you can see I like that view there, and then also what we've got with the leaders, you're seeing different lines starting to open up. It's no longer just that follow the leader. You're going to try different lines. You know you've got less than 10 laps to go. You've got to make something happen. And you talked about it earlier, Soup. If you do what that driver ahead of you is doing, you're probably just going to continue to do that, follow that driver ahead of you. So you've got to find something different that works.
I think we got to give a tip of the hat to Hubble. She is really good. She picked Tom Ogle to win this thing. He's in second right now, looking like he's got a good shot to prove her right. And then she also picked the Canadian, Scott Negus, to podium. He's back there in third. Oh man, AI technology, scary. How long will it be before AI will be able to commentate one of these races? But you're not going to watch, are you, folks? When AI takes over, you're going to demand that you have live commentary. God bless you. Coming around, working lap number 146.
Yeah, you can see a number of battles starting to heat up. The drivers know they got to go, and this is probably the biggest one right here with Ken Allen and Scott Negus. Ken's been trying; he's been working different lines. Negus has had just enough grip to get up out of the corner, so Ken cannot make a move as of yet. But something can always happen here. Never doubt that a late race caution may come out. Now, the one thing for the leaders up front, if we do get a late race caution, we end under regulation laps. So we do not go into green-white checker territory. The race can't end under caution.
The beauties of 1966. Working lap number 148, 2 to go as they come across the line this time. James Lowe out in front. He's led 69 of the laps so far. All he needs to do is lead this one, which he certainly will do, and then one more. Tommy Gogo Ogle doing everything he can, but it wasn't enough. He had a little bit of older tires. He had a little bit better pace. All he has to do is maybe deal with the lap car of Gavin Adams, but Adams is not going to be an issue here. They come out of corner number 4. Round 13 goes to James Lowe. Your points leader, Thomas Ogle, gets second. And Hubble was right, as the Canadian gets third. Scott Negus, Papa Kenny Allen, and Eric Esray rounding out your top 5. Tip of the hat to the series organizers who cut this race down by 100 laps. It felt like a good distance. 150 are done. We'll take a short break. We'll come back and run down the entire finishing order. Talk to a few of the drivers before we put a lock on the gate. Who you watching? The Virtual Grip Network. Welcome back to Martinsville Speedway. YesterYear Racing, where past meets the present, introduces 1966 to the now with the running of the YesterYear Classic. And it's brought to you thanks to Sambo's Restaurant. What this country needs is a good 10-cent cup of coffee. And make sure the kids become a Sambo's Tiger Tamer. See you soon at a Sambo's near you. Okay, the results are in. Let's give them to you now. We started with 17 drivers. 9 of them finished on the lead lap. The best of all of them, James Lowe, as he starts in second position, and he'll get the win tonight. Your points leader, Thomas Gogo Ogle, will finish in second. The Canadian Scott Negus comes from 15th to get that final podium spot. Spots 4 and 5 go to Papa Kenny Allen and Eric Ezere. 6th and 7th, well, that's Alan Wanamaker and Brian Johnson, who had a quiet job working all the way up from 16th position to get that 7th spot. Well done there. Double Deuce Bruce Pearson will come home in 8th, 9th, and 10th go to Brian Neff and Gavin Adams. Partner?
Yeah, coming home in 11th place tonight, we got Chris Hazlett, Todd Liston. We saw him have the troubles very early back on lap 1, but he's able to rally back into 12th. Robert Garisco, he'll come home in 13th place. Jerry Isaacs having a good run early in this race, involved in some accidents. He'll come home in 14th place tonight. Torrance Childs in 15th. Chris Davis comes home in 16th. And Tom Hilbert, he'll come home in 17th position tonight.
And with that said, we're going to get a chance to talk to our race winner tonight, James Lowe. Good strategy, baby. It worked out for you.
Yeah, it was fun, man. I was starting to wonder there. I just couldn't stay consistent to save my life. So, yeah, it was just it was a battle there with Tom, and I appreciate him. We raced nice and clean, and it was really hard to pass tonight anyway. You had to have a mega run to get by anybody. So, yeah, it was a fun race overall, though.
Okay, so knowing that it's really hard to pass, that kind of helps the decision to stay out there. Now, did you know that the guys, were you leading when you had 15 laps? Did you decide to stay out, or did they fool you and pit behind you? No, you stayed out. Yeah.
Yeah, I stayed out. The first caution where everybody came in, I stayed out then too, and
right.
I think it would have worked out all right. I was just kind of riding. I let them go, and I was riding, and I was staying with them. So I think I'd have been all right there. But then another caution came out 20 laps later or whatever. So I was like, well, I'll go ahead and get some tires anyway. And, yeah, that's all I'd planned on pitting.
We got that. Well, congratulations on the win, and we'll see you down the road.
Appreciate it.
All right, JR, who you got?
All right, I'm here with second place finisher tonight, Tom Ogle. Tom, first off, I want to ask you how the handling was tonight, and what more did you need with that handling to try to chase down the leader at the end?
I needed like a little more bite off the corner. I just I couldn't get like turn and drive off the corner. I needed it to drive off the right rear a little bit more, and it would push the right front just a little bit on throttle.
That's kind of what we were expecting based on the racing that we were seeing out there, and definitely looked like it was a tough night for passing. I think ultimately you got back to a position that you wanted to be.
I did, and I just was riding, and if he made a mistake, I was going to capitalize, but if he didn't, and I'm not going to knock a guy out of the way ever, so it was just a good race, and he ran a perfect race. I mean, I put as much pressure on him as I could.
Absolutely. We saw it up here in the booth. Good racing throughout the pack in a couple of spots, but I'll get you out here on this one. So you come in with a big point lead tonight. You were able to extend it, finishing ahead of the second and third place drivers in points. You guys, in a couple of weeks, you'll be at the Old Atlanta in this car. What's your thoughts going there?
I've never experienced that before, so it's either going to be amazing or it's going to be like Pocono, where it's drafting and just luck. So I guess we'll see. I've never raced this car there, but I do love Old Atlanta in any other car. So I'm hoping it runs. It's going to be wide open, I think. I don't know. I wish I knew.
It'll definitely be interesting. Been a surprise to all of us, so we're all in the same boat there. But hey, congratulations on second place tonight.
Thank you.
Maybe we'll talk to you in a couple weeks.
Yep. Have a good week, guys.
Old Atlanta. Yeah, Old Atlanta will be fun. It's good, always fun to race on a track that was there before Sherman burned down Atlanta. With that said, let's dial up Scott Negus, the Canadian. Talk to him. Wait for Scott to come here. Oh, we got him, Scott. Well done. Well, you know, if you could just qualify a little bit better, to have an easier time of it.
Yeah, I had a penalty. I wasn't allowed to qualify because I was really bad last week.
Oh, see, I didn't know that. That's unusual for you. Well, shame on you. You deserve it then. I'm sorry to be interviewing you. You got a podium, despite your naughtiness. You didn't have anything at the end for those guys, huh?
No, buddy, I burned it all up trying to chase them down, and then I was just in defense mode to try to keep Kenny behind me, just trying to make sure I hit the center of the turn.
So let me ask you this. You're in third. If a caution were to come out, and let's say we go green with 3 to go, would you have been able to hold off for 2 laps if they came in for tires? Would you have been able to fend them off, or were you cooked?
You know, I think you can at Martinsville with these cars. As long as you keep it on the curb, they're going to have a hard time passing you because everyone's really loose coming off. So I would have tried it for sure.
I thought you would have. It would have been fun to watch. Well, congratulations. Nice drive through the field. Looked clean to me. So well done. We'll see you down the road a bit.
Thanks, Sue. Appreciate it, buddy.
Scott Negus, your third place finisher today. That's going to do it for us, but we want to tell you that this broadcast was a production of the Virtual Grip Network. We do this all the time. We'll put on screen right now all the broadcasts that are coming up. You find one you want to watch. You know what? I suggest you watch them all. What else are you doing there? Just dial them up. If you don't want to watch them live, watch them at your convenience. Put us on when you're trying to fall asleep at night, and you'll dream of us. And you'll have pleasant morning when you wake up with thoughts of VGN and some racing, short track racing going on. With that said, we hope you enjoyed the broadcast. If not, we'll try to do better next time. Until then, on behalf of all the little faces you see there, have fun storming the castle.